Hey, it's the Auction Professor. It's our live show. It's July 11th, 2018. And I wanted to touch base to start off with on a few issues. The critique will be posted tomorrow. We did do it as a surprise, so that will be up tomorrow evening. It's already been done. It's already been uploaded just in case I couldn't go live. I had that ready to go. So that will be available first thing tomorrow, probably in the morning, maybe I'll post it. Another thing I had, I just have a few questions here and some issues that I wanted to address from some of the emails that I did receive. Some came from my Facebook page, The Auction Professor, and then some were through YouTube posts and things along that line too. So I had a question on haul videos. I know I haven't posted many haul videos lately. I will be posting more haul videos. I've got a ton of videos shot. I just haven't had much chance to rearrange with everything else with summer going on. I've been doing a lot of hauls. Tomorrow I go first thing in the morning again, so I'm going to be gone like 4 or 5 hours in the morning. I leave at 6 tomorrow morning, so that's what I'm looking for. Hey, Scott Sims, Peddling Profits. Another issue here too, the artwork for my Halloween cards, it is pretty much all done. I've shot some on video again. I just haven't had a chance to do anything with some of the video. I've got a backlog of videos right now ready to go. The trilobites are done. I've got the painted up examples. We're just finishing off some more of the painting so that they'll all be ready to go at the same time. And those will be probably up in like another week or so. I have a video already ready on the production and literally every step that I took to make these. Something that you can do too as well on that. Let's see here. I've got the part 2 of the buttons video almost finished, and I've got another part to the postcard identification where I'll cover chromes, linens, and some of the newer postcards and kind of give you an idea on how to tell what is what. Macaroni May, how you doing? And then the other thing here too, let's see here. 14-day markdowns. I know everybody was talking about that. That was one of the big complaints I heard a lot of on the update. For us personally, if you've done good till canceled, it's not an issue at all. Those do not come into play with the 14-day has to be up limit. So if you're doing good till canceled, you have no issues whatsoever. You can relist them constantly on the 14-day, the 14-day thing that they put into place. It has no bearing on anybody doing good till cancels. And I just looked at it again. I talked to somebody at eBay, and they said even in the other stage before they fixed it to make more people happy, it still didn't count. So if you had good till canceled this whole time, it doesn't, affect you at all. You can list and put items on sale anytime you want. Now, for us personally, I don't know why anybody would, put something up and then put it on a markdown in 14 days. 14 days just isn't enough to see if it's going to sell in our mind. I mean, nothing. I don't care what it is. Even if you do it as an auction for 7 days or whatever the case may be, however you're listing it on any incremental listing that you're doing. So I'm not really sure why people would put stuff on sale. I understand if you're doing it 30 days, it starts over and it's a new one. But I mean, have it up for a little while either way. If it's only been up for 14 days, I'd just keep it running for a couple months just to see what happens on it, truthfully, with any listing that we put up. So, I'm very picky on that kind of stuff here. I did put some items on sale 2 days ago. No issues whatsoever. Of course, 99.9% of all of our items are good till canceled, and that does not affect it at all. So again, if you're doing good till canceled, you have no issues with this. We did run across some more photos that were missing. I had one that I had to go back and do like 12 more new photos, or that was actually 11. Obviously, it was the full thing. It was a 12 photo listing, and I had somebody email me on it. So there's still some out there that I have. I really haven't seen a whole bunch. I'm just going to leave them the way they are, and as we do them, I will pull them out and fix them as they come up. I'm not really concerned about the few things that we have. I know if you only have 50 items up and half of them are bad, I can understand the gripe on that. But from everything I've seen, every board I've talked to, and even talking to eBay 2 days ago, all the issues have been fixed, so I haven't seen any issues at all in the last week or two at all. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe there are some issues that are affecting some people, but for the most part, I have not seen any new issues. They fixed the policy issues. They fixed all the return policies, the shipping policies, and the payment processing policy. So if you haven't done that, I've got a video coming out on policies as well too. Groove Master resellers, how you doing? But the policies are so easy. That's the bomb for me. If you have policies available in your store, I would honestly recommend changing everything over to a policy. There's only 3 you really have to worry about, you know, your shipping, your returns, and the payments. On shipping, I have like 5 or 6 policies to weed out ones that go overseas when it hits the 4-pound mark. If you send stuff overseas like we do a lot, almost daily, I send something to, you know, the UK or France or Germany. If you have a package that's over 4 pounds, it can't go first class international. So I've literally got set up policy on that too. If anybody's interested, as I said, I'll go ahead and throw a video up on that here in the next probably week or two. And again, if you haven't realized that you can do free returns only for the US, not for overseas, I would honestly recommend going in there and fixing your settings so that you're not paying to have high dollar items shipped back to you from overseas. I only do the free returns on US shipping and US shipping only. If I take a ding from overseas and lose my top rated seller plus status overseas, I'm okay with that as of this point. One of the categories or one of the areas that they switched up, I don't know if you're aware, but they've switched up the international shipping now into different areas. So you have like a Germany, and there's an England and France, but you got to look at those carefully because each area now is a little different than it used to be. So if you sell in like one country, it may not go over into the other countries that it used to in the grouping, how they did the grouping for the international sales. So just an FYI, but I'll cover that in a video as well too. Probably the same video when I go over policies, trying to give you an idea. And again, if you missed it in the beginning, critique will be up tomorrow. And again, it's a surprise this time. I'm not going to announce who it is from this point on ahead of time, and just be a surprise for everybody. We picked one here with the same thing as we did before with the hat. I had 3 times as many people ask for the critique this time, maybe even more than that. There was a ton. There was like, I don't know, maybe 35 or almost 40 people that put their name in for critique. So I'm going to keep doing them at least 2 a month, I think, at this point. Maybe every other week I will do a new critique. Let's see here. And I had another question here too. We're going to be doing a video. I've got Ian over here today too with us. You want to say hi, Ian?
Hey.
I don't know if you could hear him. He wasn't very loud, but Ian's over here today too. I'm going to have him help me with a few videos, and maybe one of my kids will help me too. And we're going to do some videos on how to list as quickly as possible. And how to take photographs quickly and efficiently. We have a set place we do everything in. To save time in anything you do, set yourself up a routine. Without a routine, you're not going to break it down and be able to speed up the system. Make a routine. Do the same thing every single time. When you figured out a way to cut off a few moments off of it, you change the routine. Every time you find a new way, you change the routine, but you stick to the exact same listing practices that you do every single time. Everything. Just like I always do sell similar item for every single thing I have. We've got one main template for every single listing on eBay. That way, everything is uniform. It's real easy to notice if something is out of place when you routinely do everything the same and you use a standardized form for everything. One form on eBay for every single listing that I have. So that is literally everything. I just changed this up for auction, up for sale is a book, or up for auction or sale is a card, or whatever the case may be. That's literally all I change in the main block. And then, you know, the shipping price and a few other things. But I'm going to show that in a video here as well, too, because I've had a lot of questions. I probably have, I think I counted 7 different people asked on quick ways to list. Some of them came from my Facebook group, again, the Auction Professor on Facebook. If you're not a member, you're welcome to join. We do try to help in ID and identify items. We've been averaging 10 plus new subscribers the last couple days on Facebook too. So as long as I'm able to do it, I'll answer as many questions as I can, or somebody else here will probably answer them as well too. I've got a couple other questions here, but I'm going to save those for a little farther down. Let's try and see who is on today. And we will do some questions here as well too. Jaded Gypsy, welcome. Treasure Experts, Kim S. Let's see here. Sublime 90, Michelle Cox Trout, and Sublime 90 back down at the bottom again. Hey everyone. Let's see here. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to shoot them out. I'm going to try and cut this off just a few minutes after 8 today. Just because it's been a long day, and I do have to be up around 5 in the morning or 5:30ish to be somewhere by 6. 6 a.m. I start my days early in the morning. I don't know if everybody else does, but routine again. Do a routine for everything that you do in eBay. It is very easy to keep on that routine and not mess up that way. Again, routine for everything. Same everything. Everything should look similar or, you know, be darn close to the same. So you're not going to make those errors. It's easy to stick to a routine, and that's what I do for everything. Whether it's getting up and working the same hours every day to list, and then getting up and doing, sourcing if that's what you're doing. For us, again, I haven't sourced much at all this week, other than, calls from pickers. And again, as I said, tomorrow is another picker, and there might even be 2 runs tomorrow. So I know I'll be gone for, till 6 till 9 either way. I've got employees coming in around 9. So if anybody again has any questions, I'll have to clean up what I know is wrong before asking for critique. Jaded Gypsy. Yeah, I mean, as long as you know what you need to fix, go ahead and fix it. Put your name on the next list if that's what you're doing. Again, I'm starting over every time, so I'm not going to keep names from prior weeks, so there's no misconception. So when a new video comes up asking for critique, volunteers, I'm going to pick them new from that. I did have some post them on the video actually in our Facebook group. So some of those names were included in the list, but it's everybody who posted underneath the video, either on Facebook group or on YouTube, are the ones we entered into the critique choices. And I just lost chat. There we go. Let's see. First question, Groove Master resellers. Do you buy 45s without sleeves? 99% of 45s I buy do not have sleeves. The highest dollar 45s are not going to have sleeves for the most part, unless it's like very scarce Rolling Stones or some issue like that. There's a Rolling Stones 45 that there's only a couple promos, and I have seen a sleeve for it, something like that maybe, but I don't really care if any of the 45s have sleeves. The majority of the ones that I sell that make a lot of money for us, $300, $400, $500, $600, even up to, we've sold 45s for over $4,000 on many occasions. They never had a sleeve to start with. The rare ones do not have sleeves. So, don't be looking for everything with sleeves. If it has a sleeve and it's a pop star like an Elvis or something, chances are it's not worth a lot of money. Most Elvis with sleeves, most Beatles with sleeves are like $5 or $10 for the most part. Now, if it's like EP Beatles or something along that line, it's worth a little more. You might get one of the 4 by Us, I think is one of the titles of the Beatles EPs, something like that with the sleeves, like $200. But that's a scarce one. And like most of the Elvis, even if they are like a cardboard sleeve or something like that, $8, $10 max. I don't even mess with ones with sleeves. I never even worry about the ones with sleeves. I want the bulk lots or the ones with no sleeved records. And I'm looking for labels when I go out to these places. I've got a set list of labels in my head. I've got, a list in my phone goes with me everywhere I go. I've got a set list in my phone. It has Word in my phone. I made sure that I could do that in anything I have, and I keep a file on hundreds of records just in case. I have Pop Psych on the phone too. Not every record that's worth money is on Pop Psych. Like Craig Moyer's site, you can't, it's not accessible to easily look it up on the phone. So I do keep lists when I go to places. But again, don't worry about the sleeves for most of that kind of stuff. Obviously, if it's a LP, yeah, a sleeve is 100% important. There are a few records I've sold without sleeves for still a couple $100 that were LPs. 78s, there's very few 78s that have a sleeve, so you won't even see any of those hardly. Maybe they're kid ones, mostly what I see. And then you're going to see the 10-inch LPs. Now those have to have a sleeve of some sort, so don't buy any 10-inch LPs, and pay attention to what you're looking at. If it's a 10-inch record, it's either a 78 or a 10-inch LP, so just keep that in mind. If you're looking for just 78s, don't mix up with the LP 10-inchers. So just FYI. How was my reseller life before I established GTOR? I'm just going to call you GTOR if you don't mind. I don't know everybody's actual names for the most part. I did source, obviously, and I've talked about that in the past. We started off at, I used to go to antique stores even before, because I collected military items at one point, and buttons and things like that. So I used to go to antique stores and buy, and we used to be able to flip those locally. I did set up at flea markets on our own. I had our own booth at a flea market for a little while. It was Webster's in Florida, in Mount Dora, Florida. If you ever are out in that area, it used to be a real good flea market. I believe it was on like Mondays at 6 a.m. in the morning it opened, and you usually could get out there at 5 with a flashlight and look. Those are the flea markets you want to go to. The ones that you need a flashlight that shut up, 5 a.m. they start selling, and they're gone before it's hot. By noon they're already gone and set up. Those are the ones you want to go to. But for us, I was always able to just find stuff. 15, 20 years ago when we first, started selling a couple items here and a couple of items there on eBay, nobody thought much into the value on a lot of this stuff. So we could find all kinds of toys and, Star Wars items and stuff like that. And those are some of the first items we sold. Micronauts. I sold a ton of Micronauts, Microman, Micro Machine stuff, all that kind of stuff. All those areas always sold for us. So I always had a avenue of stuff that most people didn't mess with, because 20 years ago it was only 10 years old, and they're 10 years past some of these toys, and it just wasn't collectible. But I still was able to sell them. In the antique stores, I've always made money at antique stores. I've bought postcards at one shape or another for at least 20 years. When we traveled a lot, I didn't have much room in a suitcase, and we were on a plane, so I'd buy a lot of postcards at malls just to look at, and there are certain items that we collect. My wife's a big jewelry buff and stuff like that too. So it was never hard to find stuff even without pickers. It just took a lot more time. I was doing 60, 70 hours every single week. Right now we're doing 60 hours or so, but that's by choice. I don't have to do that. I want to do it now, so come winter I won't have to do all this extra work. So I'd rather have some free time in December with the family than anything else, truthfully. And you can schedule yourself however you want it. I list through the summer. That's what I'm doing from now on. From this point forward, I will never do it any differently. In the past, we just kind of listed randomly throughout and try to get stuff up all the time. But summer's the way to go for us, because then again, as I said, I'll have so many more things up, and then we'll still be listing new things, but I'm not going to be bombing to get them up like we are now. We're trying to get up as much stuff as we can, and not just on eBay. Ian and Jordan, two of my employees today, cross-listed. I had Tim, my son, was, sorting and getting other stuff ready to actually photograph. So, that's what you got to do with this. Let's see where we're at in questions here. Peddling profits, I think you asked that question. Again, I'm not sure on who everybody is versus your eBay name, but I believe that's the question you posted on my Facebook page too, because it has the same amounts there. It's hard to tell you for sure on any individual item when you can't find something similar. As you said, I put it up really high. I had an autograph from John Dyer, which is the founder of the Prudential Insurance Company. And he was a U.S. senator. I have a letter from him up on eBay right now. I originally put it up into the thousands, and I've only had a couple bites on it. And I ended up dropping it down to 1,400. I think it's now I'll be taking like 400 or 500 for these things. So you never know. The key is being able to list it up for a high price and not having to worry about it for a while, because you don't have to sell it right away. That way you can get some feelers out there. You'll get some emails. You'll get some answers and some feedback from some of the people who are viewing the listing. And that's usually what I go by when I can't find anything. And similar items, if it looks similar, when you're pricing things, look at the content. Like if one's priced at $500 and it's got a car in it or a drawing of a specific person, and all the other ones don't have that person in it and they're less, go by that one there. It's all going to be guesstimation on a lot of those items when there's just ballpark figures going all across the board. I know people talk about worth point and things like that. Worth point's only so good because, they've got information from way back. I know they purge it too, just like Pop Psych does at some point, but I just wing it on most of those. I've been around the block a while. We've sold antiques and collectibles at some way, shape, or form, even if it's just part-time, for 20 plus years. I had an uncle who was a very big antique dealer around here, and I remember as a kid seeing prices and things and talking to him about stuff. And my grandparents had a ton of antiques when they passed, so I have a good idea on the overall aspect of antiques. And I'll just wing it with prices. Just put it really sky high. And don't compare prices on eBay with like Skinner's or Sotheby's or any of the auction houses like that, because you can't compare a top-end auction house with eBay, because some of those auction houses even buy off eBay and then they buy it for themselves and then they turn around and resell it at some of these auction houses. I know for a fact that there's some Sotheby's employees who have bought off eBay to put it into one of their own auctions. So, that's just something you got to think about. So again, I can't give you a 100% answer on where to price it, but price it really high, take your time selling it, and weed out when you start to get feedback and comments from potential buyers. That's what I do. It doesn't always work. You're going to mess up once in a while. For the most part, I'd say we get the prices pretty accurate on like 97% of the items, and there's a 3% leeway there that's just totally guesstimate. No idea what to put on it. You're going to run into those things. It doesn't mean they're super rare. It just means none were put up yet. So don't take that as meaning it's a priceless rare item. Let's see where we're at. Yep, time into researching items. I don't spend more than, I'm a whiz on it. We took, I took a ton of research and communication classes and stuff online and for my master's. I don't spend more than a few minutes on any item. I won't spend hours on anything ever, 5-10 minutes on anything like a postcard. If I can't figure it out in a few minutes, I'm going to guesstimate it. It's not worth losing, it's not worth losing time over $5 or $10 discrepancy in what you might have put on the price on it. So just keep that in mind. Don't spend hours on anything unless it looks like it's a really killer item here, in that case, I wouldn't spend that much time probably anyway. I just put some huge, humongous price on it, throw some price out there, do a Google search on it, type in whatever you're looking for. If it's a real picture postcard of like a specific city or a boat or something, type that in on a Google search and then just put the word auction or eBay at the end of your search criteria. And sometimes you can get lucky enough to see vintage auctions that do not show up in eBay's ended item listing. I do Google searches all the time. When we're searching up items, I have tabs opened up from many different sites, so I can look at them all at once, and I'll type it in on the eBay first, and then I'll cut and paste and just cut and paste it on one site after another until I have an answer on it. And usually it just takes a couple minutes, honestly, for any item. Don't spend a ton of time. Again, time is money, so that's why I kind of limit it on what I do. And if I can't find a price on it right away, I might set it aside and come back to it in another month, because maybe by that point there'll be more items up on eBay to determine the price more correctly. That's why, again, I have a 90-day plan where I've got just stuff sitting here, sometimes for months, sometimes 6 months even. I'll have something sitting here if I'm getting Christmas items early enough in the year. Sometimes 7, 8, 9 months they'll be sitting here. And usually have everything Christmas up by September 1st-ish, somewhere in that range, September 1st, October 1st. So, set it aside if you can't find an answer for it. Worst case scenario, if you got like us and you've got so many things to list, it's not a bigger deal if something sits there, even if it's a high dollar item, because we got money rolling in every single day of the week. It's just not an issue for us at all. Let me see here. I got to go back up and let's get some more questions here. Michelle, on vintage greeting cards. Greeting cards do sell. For the most part, you want Santa Claus on them if you're doing like Christmas. Halloween, most Christmas Halloween cards will sell. It just depends on the image on them and the vintageness. 60s and before on Halloween usually sell for us. If it's a typical Halloween image like a ghost or something, and you do it as a bin price, buy it now with best offer, I safely put like $34.50 on any one of the Halloween cards, as long as it has a ghost or a jack-o'-lantern or a witch or something spooky or black cats or something like that. The typical standard witches, ghouls, and goblins stuff sells. Compare it to a postcard that looks similar and price it similarly to that. Now, like Christmas cards, I have right now Santa Claus in a rocket, and it's a Hallmark card. We bought like 20 of these, and I spent like $1 or $2 on a whole box. So every one that they had, I got them all for like $1 for the whole lot. We put $57.50 on each one of those. I've sold 7 of them at that price, and then the rest have just pretty much ridden out right now. And we're just going to save them year by year, because if I sell 7 a year, I've already paid one at $57.50, paid for everything, and made us, $40 plus profit. I have 6 more that turned around and gave me $57.50 out of the lot. It's the subject matter on it. Santa Claus in a rocket, Santa Claus in a balloon, hot air balloon, or anything like that sells. Santa Claus in general sells. And you can list them as a crafting item too, because what people do, you can look up this term, hand cut out wood Christmas ornaments, something along that line. You'll see people will buy those cards. They'll embellish them with glitter around the edges of them. They'll jigsaw them out on a piece of wood, and they'll do it that way, and that'll be a Christmas ornament. And then they'll turn around and sell those Christmas ornaments on eBay back again, or on Etsy for like 50-60 bucks a pop. It just depends on what they pay for the faces. They try to get them cheap and stuff, and sometimes when they can't, they'll still buy them and just mark up the price. But stuff like that I sell to crafters too. A lot of the Christmas cards, you can buy Christmas cards that are just the face of the card and still get 15-20 bucks a piece for them with the right subject, like Santa Claus. And that is because people use those for craft projects. That's why I say you cannot wait into fourth quarter to start getting fourth quarter items up, because people buy those ahead of time. I've got many collectors who are right now buying for Christmas right now, and buying my junk scrap lots of trade card items and stuff, just the junk stuff. And they're buying them in mass quantities. I've sold one almost every day of the week, and I think we have like 4 left now. And we had like 62 of these lots. I've got 4, I think, maybe it's like 5 left, somewhere in that range. So, I've got another 100 or so I'll probably get ready in the next month, and that'll be like employee for a couple days, just doing groups of just junk scrapped items and stuff together. Because again, that's crafter time, and they buy it months in advance so that they have time to put that together. So Michelle, if you've got a bunch of cards, I'd start getting them up. As long as it's not going to hurt you financially, just list a bunch of extra listings ahead of time. Hopefully, with good luck, if you've researched them and you have good items, you're going to be able to sell some right away, and keep getting residual income. List a bunch together at the same time too, and list in every one of those up in the condition that you have others of the same type up right now as to. That's the key to getting this. You've got to list a bunch at the same time of the same type of items to generate a pull on them where they can buy more than one. And that's another reason why we charge shipping too, because it kind of pushes people to buy more from you as opposed to getting cards from someone else. Because I get return shoppers almost every day of the week. Someone comes back and buys something who's bought from us before, the same type of items, because that's what our goal is. We've got 14,000 cards up of one kind of, I think we've hit the close to 4,000 on postcards. I've got over 6,000 photos up. I've got, several thousand magazines, good close to 1,000 comic books I think we have up now all together, counting the groups. So group everything together. That also speeds up your listing time. So if you want to get stuff up quicker, list the same type of items at the same day. That's just a key for us. Looks like we're getting a little behind here again. Annie, yeah, Brimfields. Brimfields, if you don't know anything about Brimfields, look up Brimfields. Do a Google search on Brimfields in Mass. It's outside of Boston. We stayed in Saugus when we go up there. We actually stayed in the House of Seven Gables for 2 nights when we were up there, and then we did Brimfields while we were up there. If you don't know, House of Seven Gables is a real place. It's based on the gables on top of the roof. It's a real place, though. We actually stayed there. It's a bed and breakfast, believe it or not. But Brimfields is the bomb. I'm telling you, if you look at the map and the size of Brimfields, you will not find another flea market, antique flea market, that is bigger anywhere else I've ever seen. And we've went to a few of the big like the Rama ones in California when I went to Whittier in California. So, I've been across the gambit. I've seen the huge ones in Philadelphia. I've seen there's one near Georgetown in DC that was pretty good, but it still doesn't even come anywhere close to Brimfield. So again, enough on Brimfields, but Brimfield is the bomb. Any chance I get up to Boston, I would definitely go to Brimfields. I would wait to go to Boston just to go to Brimfields. We made a ton of money. I had to send so much stuff back. It was ridiculous. But on that, Brimfields can be expensive, but then again, you go back to the old adage that everybody doesn't know everything. So, hang on here. I just got myself lost a little bit. So when, you look at that, you're picking the stuff just like you do at an antique or flea market. Pick the items that the people haven't researched, Brimfields can be expensive, but we found Confederate buttons up there. The last trip we were there for like $5 and $10 a piece. And they were $200-300 each buttons. That's just a typical example. I got CDVs. I've got military helmets when we were there, bayonets, vintage books. I got a shotgun from England from like 1850s or somewhere in that range, double barrel, all etched out with dolphin, flintlock hammers and the whole work. So, anything up there you can find. It's going to take you time. You're going to have to do some footwork anywhere you go. This is for anywhere. I don't care if it's Brimfields or not. Wherever you go, you hit the things that people don't look like they know what they're doing. If they have all kinds of pottery out and they just have a little stack of some paper junk, chances are they don't know anything about that paper. It's just the way it is. They just bought it. They're trying to make a few extra bucks on the side, just like you are switching, for those of you switching off of clothing or trying to broaden your horizon. You know, you don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. I don't know every department, obviously. I don't know no pottery. I've probably walked by some really good pottery pieces. For the most part, I look stuff up again. As I said, 99% of the time I look it up if I don't know. And I try to look up every item everywhere I go if I think it has any potential for a decent profit. Yeah, they're not pricing for resellers, Annie. You are correct. New York City buyers, yeah, it can be expensive. It just depends on that. Let's see. Yeah, peddling profits. Again, as I said, limit your time on research. If you got to set it aside, move on, set it aside, keep a box of things that you have no idea on what to price. I have one. I probably have, 200-300 items in the box. It's actually just a bin over here of items that, I don't know what to do with yet. Don't have a price. Didn't want to spend a ton of time looking into the price. So I set them aside. I literally, we've got like 100,000 plus items to list. And I'm going to, as I said, when I do a video on showing you how we list, I'll show you some of the area in here too, in that same video. I shot some footage, but it's really hard to tell, depth wise when you're up so close to items on what we have on the shelves. It's fully packed in here. And I mean, fully packed. And we've discarded a ton. We're going through boxes and, I keep bringing in so much stuff here. So, we've actually debated on, not purchasing for a week or two, but, I'm not one to really do that very often just because I don't want to miss anything really good. Usually if I pick up a bunch of stuff, I make my money off one or two items and the rest is just free gravy stuff. So I say I got nothing into most things. Yeah, but peddling profits, set it aside if you can't find a price on it specifically. Wait, look at some of the auction houses up north. And worst case scenario, take a scan, get a real nice photo of her scan, and send a copy of it to the Sotheby's, and they're going to tell you if it's worth over $1,000. It may take you a month or two to get an answer from them, but I have done that on many occasions. If we think something will sell at a high-end auction, like some cigar labels, there's cigar label auctions at Heritage. Heritage is a big one for those too, for paper items. So like artwork, Heritage does original artwork for comic books and stuff. So maybe you should try calling or get in contact with Heritage and ask them. Even if you have to put it on, in their auction, you'd probably do better at a Heritage auction for something like that's that scarce, that has items that could go into the $10,000 range. You'd probably come out well ahead doing a Heritage auction. So check out Heritage online. They have an online thing. I'm a subscriber. I get notices when their auctions come up for certain items. I get notices from Sotheby's and Skinner's, and shoot, there's one more that I get notices from that does tobacco labels and things. But keep an eyeball on those kind of places too. Even if they won't take it, they're going to give you a ballpark and what the value is. I would trust Sotheby's, Skinner, Heritage, any of those auction houses for pricing. So again, send them a copy of it if they'll accept it, and they're going to tell you if it's worth $1,000 or not. If it's not, then you got a real good price start. You can price it, $1,000 or less if that's the case. But use these people if they want. They want to sell your stuff because they want to get that high commission off of it. So it doesn't hurt to hit some of these people up, and we've probably been lucky enough for them to give us some good ideas on pricing with probably about 60% of the items I've sent to these people. It just depends on the mood of the day, I guess, for who's answering the emails on any given day with these auction houses. But that's another way you can do. As I said, I just put it aside for now. I'm not in a big rush on most anything. I'll just one day turn over and look at this box and go, wow, I got some really nice stuff in here. So it'll be like a new find for us. So I don't worry about that. Let's see, where are we at here? There's just only worth about $10, but the album cover is signed by the country artist Kitty Wells. Is not a big popular artist. I have Kitty Wells autograph here with Bill Monroe. They're more like a bluesgrass, more like a folksy country. Kitty Wells autograph, you can probably put about 34 to say 57.50 on it, depending on the album. If it's an early album, put it at the high end, 57.50 range. Most country western autographs do not sell super high, even some of the early ones. I've sold Roy Rogers autograph before, and I think we got like 125, and he's way, way, way more important than Kitty Wells and the singing atmosphere of country western. But that's about the price range I'd put on it. You can find autographed items on PopSite too. So just put in autograph and Kitty Wells, and you may still turn that item up, or turn up items of hers that are autographed. General rule, the autograph is the same price no matter what it's on, unless the album itself is a rare item. The Beatles ones would be different, because if it has just the Beatles on one. Well, I was going to show you an autograph here, but take too long to move everything out here. I got another Elvis the other day. We've gotten 3 Elvis on 45s. So stuff like that shows up all the time. I'm going to go in and I'll show you the Elvis one. It's not a huge pricey thing. On a lot of these autographs, it's easier to sell it without having it authenticated than it is to have it authenticated. Even with your if you're an Amazon, if you have an Amazon business account, you actually get a discount on authentication services. But like with the Elvis, it's $200 is the cheapest price you can get to have an Elvis authenticated. And on a 45, if it's been around, they're kind of worn and they're only worth, $300-400. I'm not going to give up, $200 to have it authenticated. I've seen enough Elvis autographs in my day. I've had, quite a few originals authentic, and I know that they're good. And I've got an example to compare it to that I know is 100% real. So, it just depends. And then chances are, if it's like Kitty Wells or something, no one's going to forge that. You can safely list it as a full-fledged autograph if you've compared it visually to other ones. And again, you can just type in autograph and Kitty Wells. She's not a super huge famous person. She does have a few records that sell decently, though. Hopefully that gives you an answer to that. The Randophiles, how you doing? J.I., I'm sorry I didn't say hey. Piece 3601. Treasure Experts, question, do your pickers ever watch your videos or know that you sold one of their items for way more money? They know. I don't hide anything from any of them. I'm pretty honest with everybody I do business with directly. They know what I do. He doesn't have any sense, the one that I do the most business with. The other ones, I don't know if they even pay attention to when I say that. They're old timers. As I said, the oldest or the youngest one's almost 60 that I deal with, and they don't really care what they do. He might buy something for $1 and I might give him $150 for that item. So he just made $150 off of me for something he only paid a couple dollars for, I'm not really worried about that. I take what it gets. And when I'm buying most of these stuff, I'm buying, like for my pickers, a huge lot of stuff. I don't think I've ever went anywhere to any of my pickers and just spent a couple bucks and bought a few items. So I'm not looking up most of the items when I'm at my picker. I know what I'm looking for the most part. I look up scarce items here and there, but, I'll throw out a price or he'll throw out a price and we'll just go from there. I don't feel bad. That's just business. Same thing if you go to an antique mall and they have a postcard marked for $1, and like I just sold one, last month for $450. I paid $1 for that postcard. Am I upset that I paid what they asked for that card for and made $400+ on it? No, because that's just business. That's just like if you're doing retail arbitrage for Christmas and you're going to Target or someplace. Target's a good source for retail arbitrage, or it has been for us. And we'll buy a bunch of stuff brand new, $10 toys or whatever, and I'm selling them for $30-40 on FBA on Amazon. So, I don't feel bad about that at all. That's the price that was asked. If I asked them to take less on the price, maybe that might be a little different. I've given them money for stuff before, after the sale, and I've given them finder's fees as well too. So, I don't really feel bad about that at all. It's business. Wherever you're at, it's the cost of doing business. I use that term a lot because that's just what business is. Don't ever feel bad about that. Unless you intentionally rip them off. That's a different story. I would never do that because I want that rapport so I can come back and keep buying items from these people. It just works. I literally have 9 pickers technically right now. One only calls me now once or twice a month, but that's fine. I'm sure he's got other people he calls first. As I said, if you don't show up for a picker, they're going to move on to the next person. I don't have any person that just picks just for me. Every one of them picks for, for all I know, a dozen other people. I don't know who Picking Profits, who Faking is. I have no idea who that is. Not a clue. I'm assuming that's another reseller here. No idea. I will have to look that up, Picking Profits. Yeah, Pet and Profits. I would never spend a couple hours on a piece of anything, on any kind of single individual item at all. Liz Ferday, welcome. Thrifting 24/7. How you doing? Been flipping hard goods. Let's see here. I'm just trying to look through and keep up here. I'm like way behind on questions, it looks like. On artists, though, if you look up, most artists are listed. There's art sites if you're looking for a specific artist. Maybe I should go into a video on that. There are sources to find out who the artist is. If they're a listed artist, that's always better, and you can give a good idea. If you can figure out if they're listed from that point on, you can find, national, like Sotheby's listing references on artwork like that. And again, just call Sotheby's if you think it's a high dollar one and see what they say. Again, they'll tell you if it's worth $1,000 or not, because they only take items that are $1,000 or more. So just FYI. Yeah, the wooden ornaments, there's vintage ones, Michelle, but most people actually buy the card faces from us, and then they'll turn around and make their own wooden ornaments. They're trying to recreate like Victorian 1910, 1920s Christmas ornaments. And we had talked about that here even. We might in next year do paper mache, like the Halloween, things like I showed in the video just the other day, like the little candle holders and lantern things. Those are something you can make at home with just a simple mold made out of plaster. So, I've been experimenting with that. The reproductions sell all day long. I've looked into that. There are companies that make those, and they still get 40 or 50 bucks for the reproduction lanterns, the Halloween, black cats and jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins. So that was something we had thought about even. Let's see here. True. Disney Family 515, how you doing? Junk drawer lots are only risky if you don't put up what you got into it. So on a junk drawer lot, I don't even start it off, under what I have into it. If I got 50 bucks into it, I might put it up for $49.99 opening, price minimum. If it's an auction, if it's a buy it now, I'm doing, like 50% over. So if I paid 50 bucks for something, I'm going to put it up for 75 bucks if I want to blow it out. It just depends on what you're putting together and how much you have into it. It's only risk if you put it up too low. So, make sure you know what you have into it and add at least 50% up. For the most part, junk drawer lots are trying to get rid of the stuff that you can't sell any other way. It can be a tool to sell, for your whole business even, because there are people who do that. I've got a friend who does half of his business almost in just junk drawer lots. He just buys bulk items and stuff and throws them in junk drawer lots. He does very well. We always do well in the junk drawer lots. I always make money on junk drawer lots, always. May not be a fortune on them, but I get my money back and I have a profit after all fees are said and done. So that's what I use those for. Again, it's not a huge money maker to make a huge amount of money off of, but we don't lose on those. I haven't anyway. I price them correctly. Again, back into research a little bit there. You got to price them correctly. If it's something you only have, 20 bucks into a huge lot for a junk drawer, no big deal if you put up for 75 and take 50. You're doubling your money on just junk, basically. Hence the title, junk drawer lot. Kim S, no sales in 2 days. It depends on, how much stuff you have up. For us, a slow day is maybe 15 or 20 items only selling in 1 day. So I don't really can't compare it to that. And it's been a long time since I've had no sales in a day. And I mean a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I had a day with no sales. And plus we sell on other markets too. So, even when I'm only selling 15 or 20 items on a real slow eBay day, I still have sold items on Amazon, Etsy, Discogs, and, on and on and on. So it just depends. Broaden your horizons if you're only selling on eBay. I'll be putting a video together here on how to get on Amazon too, to sell some of these items. I cross promote whatever we can. And right now, I've talked about this before. I just keep selling 78s more on Amazon. I just bite the bullet, and we've been cross promoting and cross listing everything on Amazon now. All the 78s, all my records, and we're going to do photos and a bunch of other stuff. So, I want to get like another 4,000 or 5,000 items up on Amazon before Christmas would be my honest goal. So, if you're not having a bunch of sales there, that's what you got to do. Cross list them on other sites. Run sales if you have to. If you only got a couple hundred items up, it's summer and it depends on what you're selling. So if you're selling like clothing and stuff, I would not be surprised if people who are just selling clothing do not have sales, for a day or two at a time. That's just what we experienced, years ago when we were only doing clothing mostly. So another reason why we don't do clothing, because in the summer, if you don't rotate all your stock, get rid of the winter items, not get rid of them, but just hold them over till next year, pull them off stock, put them in inventory, and list some more summer items here. That's why clothing is hard these days. You've got so many competitors especially because of YouTube offering more competitors now. So, people are popping on the bandwagon, and clothing seems to be the easiest for people. So your clothing, market's going down. You've got too many competitors. With antiques and collectibles, the stuff's scarce no matter who gets it. So, I've got, oodles of sourcing for collectibles. And like when I show people collectibles, so many people just give up on it, without really digging into it, that, I don't worry so much on people trying to narrow in on the market. Clothing's a different story, because the chances of someone finding the exact item that I have are very slim. But someone finding a specific Tommy Hilfiger shirt or something like that is very, very possible any day of the week, where you're going to have competition underselling you by $2 and it's going to go to the other person instead of you. So anyway, let's see here. Liz for a day. On postcards and photos, the buyer pays shipping on every item I sell. So don't fall into that trap. And I ship everything first class. Do not put anything in a correspondence envelope, especially going overseas. It's $3.50. They pay for everything. Postcards or not. If they're buying a $3 postcard, they're paying $3.50 to get that postcard shipped to them. Tracking on everything. Everything, literally everything. And that's why I said on the overseas, everything goes first class international. Don't send anything in a correspondence letter, because you are actually violating the law if you send it overseas in a correspondence letter. Correspondence letter is just for correspondence. You have to declare going out of this country and going into the other countries, whatever item that's in that package. And you cannot declare an item in a correspondence letter. And just like sending a postcard in an envelope, I wouldn't do that. I pack them up very carefully. If you check out my how-to playlist on my channel here, you're going to see a couple videos. Just put how to pack, and I've got literally how do I pack all my cards. It's in 2 different videos. I'll show you how to pack postcards. Same thing goes for the photos, real easily. I can pack. I use Walmart boxes for the most part. I use the 14 by 14 by 14 Walmart cubes. I'll buy one of those, and I cut them down into strips. So there's 4 panels for each side of the box, and each one of those I cut down into 4. So one Walmart box, which costs 72 cents, I can mail 16 postcards in, and I charge $3.50. I get the discount on it, so I actually only pay $2.66 or somewhere $2.67 to mail it. The rest covers my eBay fees, because eBay takes fees out of your shipping, and then it covers my products, my sleeves for the cards, and my box that I buy too. So literally, I pretty much break even at the $3.50, believe it or not. And on the overseas ones, I usually lose a few cents on shipping. All abouts, it rounds off, and I make a few cents if I did it across the board on average. So just keep that in mind. But again, check out that the video list for a day, and you'll see literally I'll break down the whole packing process for everything. Let's see here. Marilyn Wilson. Yeah, sales, it depends on what you're selling again. Now, I put stuff on sale last night. I've sold, we put magazines on sale. I got a ton of magazines coming in. I literally got a bunch of magazines. I talked to another gentleman who does magazines. So magazines are a pretty good seller, but I've got, my 90 days on some stacks of magazines are coming up, and I've probably got, like 1,500 magazines. I'm going to get probably another 400 or 500 tomorrow morning. So I'm trying to push out some magazines and rotate some of the stock. So we put magazines, I think, at like 30% off, and I literally sold some right off the bat. But again, it depends on what you have up. If you want to put a sale on that's going to matter, put sales on items that have watchers. If the item has a bunch of watchers, put it on sale, and 9 out of 10 times you're going to get a couple hits and sell some of that items right away. It always works that way for us, at least in the first day or so. Just when you go into the sales, I only do Markdown Manager. I don't do any of the promoted listings. I just never had any luck on those versus Markdown Manager. And I put the same items in different stores, one on Markdown Manager and then one on promoted listings. And we've done the percentage up to, 20% I'd give eBay just for tests, just on a certain few listings. And there was no difference in sales. In fact, I had less sales on the promoted listing. And I know people do the 1%, we'll give eBay 1%, and I'll just put everything in my store on a promoted listing. I just don't see as that's a huge ordeal. You can get the same effect with, just changing the title around and messing around with the listings and stuff too. When things don't sell sometimes in one category, I'll switch the category they're in, or I'll switch the title around, or things along that line here. It's something you're going to have to dig into and figure out what's going on, why you're not having sales. If you're putting items that aren't sellable in the first place on sale, they're still not going to sell. It depends down to the item itself. And that's why I say I research everything, you know, down to a battery. Even we sell vintage batteries even from the 50s and 60s. I research everything, you know, and if it's not worth selling and I don't see any potential sales on it, I'm probably not going to list it, or I'll bulk it and put it in a big lot. Like, let's say for a postcard, if I'm pricing postcards, well, I guess that's not a real good example here. Anyway, that's just how I do it then. Let's move on here and let's see what else we got here. Kevin Vargas, thank you very much. And can you remove real picture postcards that are stuck in album pages? You run the risk of ruining the emulsion on the top of it and run the risk of ruining the postcard. You can, I would never steam anything like that. You can soak them, but you know, you're running a risk on ruining every one you stick in the water. It could bleed. If it's on black paper, especially, that stuff has some kind of like dye in it. It turns stuff purple. If you ever got one wet by accident and you've touched it afterwards, there's black all over your hand. So I don't know what that would do to the page. I try not to mess with those because then you've got time into them. I would just blow it out the door as a book or as a page or whatever the case may be. Cut around it if there's nothing on the back and sell it that way. If you got money into it, don't risk damaging the item. That's just me, you know. Somebody else can deal with it. I know conservatories and in places like that have some kind of chemical. Maybe it's hydrotetrachloride. Maybe I think that's the chemical. I know you can use that for stamps to some extent, at least to tell watermarks and things along that line on postage stamps. I've seen people use it for on-sticking stamps, but I don't know if that really works well or if it's safe or, you know, a viable means to do it at all. Just be careful. Don't risk the item itself. Water can be dangerous to some photos. If they're 1910 and they've got that metallic look when you turn on an angle, it's kind of got like a metallic tint to it. That's like a silvery, it's like a gelatin print almost, where the water rinsing it off can be enough to wash off some of the image. So just keep that in mind. Jaded Gypsy. Sunday, a lot of people have auctions end on Sunday. Now, I used to do that too. I honestly find Monday and Tuesdays are better for us anyway, on some items. It just depends on what you're selling. You're going to have to get to know what days are best to end. So you can have a big, huge Sunday if you have that stuff end on Sunday after church, of course. Don't ever have anything end in the morning on any given day of the week. I always end stuff after 5, after dinner time. Sales usually tick up after 5 in the weekdays anyway. And if you're selling something that's, you know, a high-end collectible, it really doesn't matter the day of the week for the most part. And it's even better sometimes on the weekdays because businesses buy some of these items too that I sell. So I have a better chance of them being in an office and maybe more bidders on it. And I've played around with this for years. We've literally played around with that same kind of thing. Marilyn Wilson, it depends on who the artists are in those 78s. DG only is just a typical, you'll see standard records that they just are stamped DG only on top of the record itself. So, you know, those are stock DJs. Those are ones that are just hand stamped. So just kind of watch out. When you want the ones that literally are printed on the label, demonstration DJ on the label, not a hand stamp, not a rubber stamp on it. You want physically printed on there, or the label itself is white or an odd color from the normal stock record. You can look those up on eBay as well. Just type in promo or look them up on PopPsych or even Discogs. So those are pretty easy to find. Most 78, if they're a DJ or promo, are things that you can readily find. If it says promo, they're easily found record pricing on those. You know, the ones that don't say promo that are on an oddball label are the ones that aren't going to be as easy to price, especially the ones on unknown labels. If it's on Atlantic or Mercury or Decca or any of those, you can find a price on any one of those. I guarantee it. Anything that's common label like that. And Osborne has a book on it too. The prices are way out of whack though in those. So, you know, you can get, you know, Goldmine's price guide, or Osborne has one that I have a copy of up on the shelf back here, but I honestly don't use any price guides anymore. I haven't in years. eBay sets the price of everything, or one of the other sites we use. No price guides are effective anymore in these days and age because the prices fluctuate so greatly nowadays. So hopefully that helps answer that a little bit. Let's see here. Hey, Nicole, how you doing? Do you think it's a good idea to cross-post all eBay listings to Etsy? Etsy slow movers. I mean, we have an Etsy site. I mostly sell vintage items on Etsy, and craft items that people, again, will turn around, buy from me, and then they'll make something out of it, and then they'll turn around and resell it on Etsy or, on eBay as well. Most people who do Etsy do eBay as well. At least most everybody I know. They don't just do one site. It just depends on, your fees on any site. So if you're cross-listing somewhere else, make sure you're not paying for it. Amazon's the best because I pay the $39.99 once a month fee. We always make enough to pay for, the listing fees and then a ton more over that. So, every listing I throw on Amazon's free once I pay the initial fee. So, for us, I list a ton of stuff on other sites, even if I don't think it's going to be a huge mover. You're not just looking at what's going on right this minute. As I said in many videos, you're looking for the future, looking at the big picture. What's going to happen on Amazon in the future? Amazon's going after eBay customers right now. What are they doing? They're pushing the collectibles market. They're pushing, vintage items. And I think that's literally why I'm selling more 78 records on Amazon now than I am on eBay, because Amazon is actually trying to catch eBay. And eBay's trying to catch up with Amazon. So they're literally in competition, which is a good thing. Because that's going to push eBay towards a way that I've heard a rumor here. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if it's true, and chances are it from what I heard, it sounds like it could be something heading down the stream at some point. Amazon lists, you can list for very cheap if you have the business account. And so there's some other sites that do that too. Now, I've heard rumor, and again, this is rumor, no way to confirm this at all, but I've actually talked to a person at eBay who heard the exact same thing at eBay, that there might be a chance that, they may be thinking about going towards that same thing. Listing items are free to list as long as you pay so much the monthly fee, and you can list as much as you want for free. Again, and you just pay the final value fees. I can't say that's true. I've heard it from an inside person on one occasion, and I've heard it from some other folks who have talked to people. Again, I don't know if that's true. It would be really nice if it was, because I guarantee you what's going to happen on eBay is the amount of listings is going to skyrocket through the roof. I would never stop listing if everything was free to list, and that's why I don't worry about cross-promoting stuff on Amazon, because again, if I have an employee cross-list on Amazon, I'm going to sell something on Amazon to pay for his shift for that day. And then boom, I'm back to, residual income on Amazon as well too. So that's the way that works for us anyway. Yins Flips, how you doing? Let's see. Hi, Don. I love your channel. Excellent. Thank you, Teresa, bro. Let's see here. Let me scan down here. I'm still getting behind on questions. Yins Flips. Yeah, on active listings, like for us, we've got 40,000 on eBay alone, over several accounts. When you have so many up and you sell 400 or 500 items a week, you've got to list more than that. So that's the problem with what that comes into play with a lot of folks. And if you're a one-man operation and you're trying to list more every single week, you're going to run into a point where you're selling so much in season, you're not able to keep up, and you're going to actually go down in totals as you list. So, just keep that in mind. At some point, it's going to do you well to hire somebody in to help do the work. And again, research the items and set yourself up. I'm going to do a video on, how to set yourself up a little better with employees, or to even how to help increase your speed on listing things here too. So I'll try and go through step by step and show you the entire process we do quickly and efficiently, the best we can. So that's coming down the line. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see. I just sold our first real picture postcard here for $60. Well, good job, thrifting 24/7. Yeah, I said on those high dollar postcards, I don't care what the price is in the postcard. If it's something somebody wants, they're paying shipping. Collectibles are different. It's a different monster than clothing. Don't go into collectibles and paper and postcards thinking it's going to be the same thing as clothing. It's totally different. People who collect don't care to the most extent what they pay for something, especially shipping. They don't even look at the shipping. That's why I don't include shipping on the item. They look at it. I'm paying $60 for a postcard. Who cares what I have to ship it for? I want that postcard. Chances are they would have paid more for that postcard, possibly, depending on what was on it. So real picture postcards, you're probably thrifting 24/7. You're probably like the 40th person who's told me now that they've gotten a postcard for over $50. There's a ton of them out there. It's going to take you looking for them and looking outside the box to find these items. Yeah, for clothing in the summer, children's clothing, it depends on the brand. Kids grow up all year round, so there's no specific time that I find that stuff sells better. Summer clothes, obviously, swimsuits and things like that. Clothing's getting very hard these days. And if you're not paying attention, it's going to get much worse before it gets better for you, if it ever gets better. I'm just being flat out. The stores are competing with you. Go to the mall once. Go to, if there is a mall even in your area anymore. It used to be 6 or so here. There's 1 left. I go out and look at stores. Everybody has stuff marked down. You can get brand new clothing at a local store nowadays. A pair of, let's say, swimming suit trunks, $10. I'm not going to buy them off eBay unless they're worth a ton of money or something along that line. So it's very hard to compete with the price of a brick and mortar when they mark them down so cheaply these days, or thrift store prices and stuff. If you're paying so much at a thrift store, you're just not going to be able to make enough money off them. Clothing can go up any time of the year. Again, it depends on the brand. It depends on how much competition you have on those brands. I haven't sold clothing in the summer in a long time now. Other than the pieces we're blowing out now, I think I've got most of our clothing at like half price right now, just to get rid of it at this point. At half price, I'm still going to make a ton of money. I just want the space at this point here. I've got so much stuff to list, and clothing is a hassle. It's a hard sell. It's a long haul. Like back, 4 or 5 years ago when we first started and we were doing clothing full time, we could sell a lot more. Even in the summer and in winter, it sold quickly. Nowadays, stuff sits for so long because so many people have popped into the market and trying to sell their old clothing. That's, again, why we don't do clothing pretty much anymore at all. I don't source it at all anymore, unless it's like a leather jacket or something. I always source leather jackets. That's just my thing. I've owned probably 20 plus now leather jackets in my own collection. Maybe one day I'll show you some of them. Cafe racers are my favorite, 60s cafe racer, the bomb, or a nice Brooks with zipper cuffs and, belt buckle on the back. That's what I look for. Those always sell, always. I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside. I'm going to be able to sell a leather coat like that any day of the week. Full color cartoons, Macaroni May, from 1897, Germany. It depends on the book. If it's a comic book, that's platinum age. That's like the dawn of comic books, 1880s on up, like Snuffy Smith or something like that, that era. If it's an actual comic book type of thing, you might be safe to put it in the comic book section, in the platinum section, on something like that. It depends on if it's cartoons versus comics. Now, if it's satire, it's a different story. You're still safe to put it up. If you're part of my Facebook group, you can post a image of the very first page that shows the date on the bottom, or a page that shows the most content where I can get a general idea on that, and we can go from there. Diana, I photograph everything. It's much quicker. Now, I've heard people talk about you just drop it in and it scans. It's not as quick as I can photograph. I guarantee it. I can take a picture. Any of my employees take a picture, in a matter of a few seconds, and it's done. And most scanners automatically scan it and pull it right into your computer. I don't know any scanners that I've seen that take a SD card. And for us, we take, hundreds of photos a day. 2 people might do, hundreds and hundreds of photos in a day, 1,000 photos even, who knows. And we break them down into groups, and they'll put each one on an SD card. And I'll put them with whatever the items are, and I'll set up, I might have 10 different stacks of items, so an employee can just grab that stack with the SD card and list. And you can't do that when you're scanning and they're going to a PC or your laptop or something like that. I break everything down into groupings, so one person can list this, one person can list that, so I can have 4 or 5 people listing, items at the same time. I'm just not a scanner person. I've got a nice flatbed up here too. I've probably got 2. Yeah, I've got 2 flatbeds actually. I've got one that does scanning, and it's got a drop down section as well too for a sheet fed as well too. But photographs are so much quicker. The detail's better in the overall scheme of things. And some of the scans, when you scan photos, sometimes has a weird pattern on it, depending on the pattern. When you photograph it, none of that's a problem, especially if you have a nice high-end SLR digital camera. If you want a good recommendation, we've got the D5300. That is the bomb. It's the lowest high price camera you can get, but it's the bomb. It takes better pictures than anything I've ever owned. And I've had some real nice film SLR cameras that just don't touch this at all. But a D5300 is what we have. Got a couple of them actually. Let's see here. Set up wrong for Inferior. Yeah, check your shipping policies. Set up policies, as I said. If you don't have policies, set up a policy, because your payment policies all the same for every listing. It should be. So you got one policy for payments. That's the same policy. Same thing with returns. We have just one single return policy for everything. And I'll throw a video out there on that too. It won't be a real quick thing. There's not a lot to it, but I'll throw that out there for you. For those of you who don't have the policies set up the policies. So as things change in the future, you only have to click a button or two, and every listing we own will change all at the same time in one little click. So just keep that in mind. Ian's flips. Yeah, 1,550. That's a good start right there. It takes time. It took us years to get up to have as many as we have up, and now it's snowballed from here with employees and such forth. So just keep that in mind. You know, it's quantity is a big part of this game that you play. Quantity, getting these items up. That's the quantity. You need to have a vast quantity of stuff. You know, my goal is to get 100,000 items listed, you know, and that's my goal. And once I hit that, I'll just add more to the goal at the end. One of these days we'll have 100,000 listings, and, you know, I'll move on from there. Old maps, Ian's flips. Yeah, old maps sell very well. It depends on how old you're talking. I've had them back as far as the 1500s. 1576 was the oldest map I had, and it was a European map from some French-English battle. We got like $3.75 a piece for those. And old maps before, say, 1890, if it's colored, a lot of those maps are hand watercolored, and I will buy geography books, the big format ones though, with maps in them that are hand colored, and I'll cut those books up and sell them by state or country or whatever the case may be. I don't care if the book's scratched out or if it's a real nice copy of the book, I'll still cut the book up. I cut up books and magazines all the time. I have no problem doing that. This is a business, you know. It's whatever makes more money for you is what you do. So if it means ruining a book or cutting up a book, cut it up. Maps sell very well. Even maps from the 50s and 60s from gas stations sell. They don't sell super well though, but you can get $5, $10, $15 for a decent gas station map from the 30s or 40s, depending on the map and the condition, of course. But that's it with that. Taz Ahoy. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but welcome. I'm not sure who Tim Schafer is. G-Tor, how do you get started selling on Amazon? Back in the day, it was a lot easier. They didn't have as many gating categories as they do now. I got in, and it just takes some time. I've got a video I'm going to be putting together here soon on how to get into the collectibles market at least, and to be able to sell records and postcards and trade cards on Amazon. That's what you want to get into, I would say, at least for us on that. Hang on just a second here. Do you have to send everything through FBA? And you don't have to send everything through FBA. Collectibles do sell on Amazon. It's selective on what sells on Amazon. Records sell very well on Amazon, at least 78s. Postcards can sell very well on Amazon too. It's a iffy one on the cards themselves though, so just keep that in mind. I've sold toys on there, vintage toys. I've sold Legos on Amazon, used ones. It just depends on what you have. It took us like a month to get into Amazon. As I said, it took a lot of filling out the same form a couple different times to see what they wanted. And then I was lucky enough to have somebody tell me what to put in it, basically. As I said, I've got a copy of the forms that I physically sent into Amazon, a copy of the official collectibles category form I have. Maybe I'll put that in the video too, so you can kind of get an idea on what you need to word it and how you need to word it. But the minute they accept you, you're paying $40 a month to be on Amazon, whether you have any items up or not. Just keep that in mind. So you better have some stuff ready to sell, just FYI. You use it in the business, open source projects. Do I use open source projects? I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about open source programs? Yes, some OBS is open source. I do use that too. It just depends on what the item is. Let's see. Yeah, Ellen Crampton, I actually talked about that in the beginning of the video. If you missed the beginning of the video, just go back and watch the first few minutes of it. I gave an update on some of the things. I've got the second part of the postcard video coming up. It'll probably be like on this Monday or Tuesday, somewhere in that range. It's going to cover linens and chromes and the newer cards as well, too. The bigger ones are the ones that are earlier, obviously. It's going to cover Winch and some of the better names. And probably some of the artists as well, too, because there's specific people, regardless of who made the card, that are going to sell the card. the artist wise. And I'm not going to go into them right now, but John Winch is one that I always look for. So just type in Winch if you ever want to know something specific. There's a ton of fancy cards and Halloween cards that the artist will sell the cards. So just keep that in mind. Bin flipping hair goods. Yeah, clothing is what we started with. Clothing, games, and garage sale finds and things like that too. But as time went by, we've learned that we could do a lot better selling better vintage items for higher profit, and they just do better for us. No returns. I almost have 0 returns. And this year, I don't think we have a return. I had one that a customer tried to return, but it was on the new free returns, and they didn't return all the item. eBay sided with me instantly, and I had no issues to have to worry about taking the return back. So anyway, where are we now? Hang on just a second here. I think I've just dropped and missed a few more questions. You talk about having 30,000 listing, yet your solds for the past month only show less than 1,000 items. That's 3% net. DW, most of my items don't show up in the sold category, and we've actually got 40,000 listings up, and I have them in across 2 different anchor stores. If you put it as an inventory item, so when something sells out, it does not show up as a sold item. So just FYI, a large chunk of my items do not show up in the sold item. And again, you are only looking at one of my anchor stores. I've got 20,000 items in 2 different anchor stores. So you're not going to see a ton of my items for that have sold. So you can look at your percentages all you want. That's not going to mean anything. And there's no such thing as a sell through rate when you're selling collectibles. Don't even worry about the sell through rate at all. So if it's 3%, 1%, it doesn't matter. We average in price wise. The only thing I care about is the $750. We do $750 a day on eBay, just on eBay, across the accounts we have. I don't worry about what my sell-through rate is. So again, that means nothing. And if you don't want your items to show up in the sold category, all you got to do is list them as a when it hits 0 to turn it into an inventory instead. So to still have the listing up and it won't show that it's sold. So just FYI, many YouTubers do it, many eBayers do it. You'll see there's many reasons to do that, especially if you sell the same items all the time. So again, I got a video on sell-through rate. That means nothing. I don't care what anybody says. Any eBayer tells you the sell-through rate is key. It is not anything for people selling collectibles. So try and get that out of your head. Don't worry about sell-through rate, and don't worry if you can't see something that's ended on a person's listing. And I don't care who it is. Maybe half of my items show up in the ended listing section, and that's it. And again, you're only seeing what I have in one store. I'm not going to share the other store because we've got a lot of items. I don't want any competition on some of the items we sell. That's just a given with anybody that sells stuff. I can't give you everything. I can't show you everything because, again, I'm not going to hurt my business to do this. I'm giving you a lot of good information out here and a lot of good items that you can get. So, I do what I can. And again, my information is out there. You can check with other eBayers too and see. You're not going to see most items if they don't want you to see them in their sold section. Just FYI. There's many ways to do it. There's at least 2, let's put it that way. There's one that I always use. And there's many reasons to do that too. Like if somebody's researching an item and you don't want them to be able to tell exactly what it sells for, don't let it show up in the ended auctions. That's just a given. And that's a way to keep your prices up. So insider FYI, if you want to keep your prices up, don't let people know what other things sold for. So there is some secretive to this. There are some reasons to what we do, and not just me. You talk to some other eBayers here. There's a couple high popular ones. There's a couple that does it. I don't want to call it any names today, but it's very, very well-known one grouping that does it. You can see and talk to other people too. All your listings are not going to show up in sold. For the average eBayer, yeah, I could look up most everybody's because they don't know what to do with putting them up as an inventory 0 quantity. So just FYI. Annie, you can play around with it if that's what you want to do. I can't tell you, Scotty peelers. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is at all. When you're putting chemicals on cards, I'd be very cautious on that, but FYI. The Crafty Turtle, welcome. Kenneth Chapman, welcome. Yeah, the more like Kenneth Chapman here. Yeah, listing quantity is what you want. The sell through rate means nothing. I know on Amazon maybe that would mean a big difference. Where the sales ranking is, even on eBay to some categories, it may mean something. Like if you're selling a top rated video game, you need to know the sell through rate. I look at the sell through rate for a category, not my items, but a category in general. Like we talked about Halloween items, 33% of every item in the Halloween vintage collectibles sells overall. And again, if you weed out all the items that aren't collectibles out of there, the rate moves up to about 60%. I've done it. I've done the math. I've done it by category. So again, sell in categories that have a high sell-through rate, but don't worry about the sell-through rate. I worry about that. My key figure now is $750 a day on eBay. And again, that's not counting the other ones. I worry about how much money comes in. If I sell one item for $750 a day, my day's made. I don't really care about how many I sell or what sells. I don't even go back and look at my listings unless I need to do something specific with them. I don't care if there's views on them. That means nothing to me. And for the most part, that means nothing in the collectibles section either, because, views mean nothing. It's a window shopping thing. Somebody's going to walk in and see something that they like and boom, they're just going to buy it. Don't worry about sell-through rate. That's such a misconception because too many people talk about that sell-through rate. Don't worry about a 3% sell rate or what it appears to be 3%. Again, everything is not visible to everybody. So just keep that in mind. I could block every listing I have from you seeing any of them in the sold section by doing them as an inventory zero status. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, as you get more stuff up, you obviously, if your sales aren't increasing with the more amount of stuff you get up, that would be a key issue to worry about. Again, not sell-through rate though. Let's see. The world is going paperless, so paper will sell more. Yeah, the world is going paperless. Paper is, going to be a thing of the past. How well it sells, it just depends on how many people are going to be interested in it at some point. The younger folks who don't have paper items, there might be a point, past when I'm deceased that, stuff might not be collectible anymore, possibly. Postage stamps, money, that will always be collectible, I would say. Vamp Knights 5, yeah, I don't share a lot of stuff. I've got some items that are fairly viral on my other account, some things that sell regularly. I've got a huge niche that we make a lot of money on that I am the only one on eBay doing it, and literally I'm the only one. So I'm not going to share that. We originally didn't open up any of our accounts at first when I first started putting videos out because I wanted to move stuff from one account to the other just for that reason. So there are some secrets to this that I can't give away just because I am not going to hurt myself financially and have competition from 100 other people doing it. So just take that in mind. And that's what you should be doing, everybody out there too, on certain items. If you've got a niche and you don't want, or it's a niche that competition would kill you, don't share it. Don't tell anybody. Don't even tell your trading partners and things like that. Keep it strictly confidential. Let's see, Ellen Crampton. I'm not sure if you're talking about flip books of like animated flip books where the character moves. I don't think that would be technically a postcard. If you're talking about postcard books that have multiple postcards in them, for the most part, they are not worth much money for anywhere unless there's something really oddball. I usually just tear those apart and sell the individual postcards separately is what I usually do with those. Let's see here. Message retracted. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, sell-through rate again. It doesn't mean anything. And my profit margin is all I care about. My bottom line. Again, I could sell 7 items a month and make more than most people. I could sell $7,000 items and I just made $7,000 a month. My sell-through rate would be horrid. That's why I never even look at it. I worry about the profit. I worry about how much money I make a day. I've got a roundabout price that I expect to sell for each day. We're doing over 20K a month on eBay alone right now. And this is summer. That's why I'm telling you, in winter months, you got to be ready for it. I hope to increase that drastically. Last year, we didn't have a huge increase for it, but I didn't bomb a ton of items up online through the summer like I'm doing this year. So I'm going to have a ton more stuff up this year. Hopefully by, September 1st, October 1st, we might have 50,000 items up. That would be a huge goal. I don't know if I'll make it, but that would be my goal for this year anyway. Yeah, I would never share everything, just FYI. And I've talked about that in other videos. I don't give you everything. I want you guys to look up some stuff too. I'm giving you shortcuts on stuff here. You know, you're going to have to do some legwork on it. You know, I have some folks that say they still can't find postcards in some cities that you should be able to find them. You're going to have to go out of the box here and make some phone calls at the worst case scenario, make some phone calls and stuff. Everything that I do is available to anybody. You know, what I'm showing you here is something anybody can do. Let's see here. Let's see, like some more questions. Yeah, if you like the video, please do hit the like button. I see we got 26 likes, down to 46. I'm going to have to see who else is on at this time for competition-wise. And maybe we might even change the time if that means anything, so more people can get involved on the conversation. But I'll look into that before next week. Fishing and Pickens. Just look at my page. I've got almost 180 videos up right now. Covers everything eBay and Amazon. I do have an introduction video. It's really all. It's one of my first few videos I put up, so I should probably do another one here one of these days. But check out some of the videos, and you'll see what we do. Collectibles sell when they're ready. Look at any antique center. Yeah, Kenneth Chapman. You need the right person to walk in your store. That's why I don't care how many items I have up. It's the amount I'm making. It's pennies to list these things. And that's another reason why I have 2 separate stores, because it's cheaper. A penny times 10,000 listings is a big difference when you do it times 12 months. So just keep that in mind. You know, when you hit so many, four anchor stores would be good at this point. I could open up 4 and save myself a little bit. I'm not really up to doing that at this point because I'd have to switch around a bunch of listings, but we are in the process of looking into opening a 3rd anchor store once we get a few more items set up on the side. Let's see here. Yeah, Marilyn Wilson, clothing is dying market for what I can see here. I just lost chat. My monthly sales, it's over 20K on eBay, just FYI, Sean John. That's this month. I expect to, hopefully by, you know, Christmas time, we might be double that. I would pray and hope. I'm not going to count on that, but, you know, we're looking at the big picture here. 20K through summer is really good. But again, that's with 40,000 listings and employees listing stuff constantly and me doing 60+ hours every week. So, you know, there's 8 of us here that on and off are doing stuff almost every day of this. Yeah, Michelle, thanks for that. I'm going to have to maybe look into that and trying to pick a day where there's more people available, I think maybe. I had another person here email me on my Facebook page that said there's somebody else he likes to watch too that he's been following for longer. And, you know, no hard feelings at all. So, you know, I may look into seeing about a different time. Maybe I'll set up a survey or something in the Facebook group or somewhere so we can kind of get an idea on when would be the best time where we're not, you know, crossing other resellers, so you can get time to watch them as well as me. I'm not trying to take away from anybody else because, you know, everybody has their own favorites. You know, doesn't mean I have to be your favorite or anything either. So anchor stores UK come with unlimited listings, but they cost $6.33 a month. Wow, unlimited listings. I did not know that about the UK. That's actually pretty decent. eBay has added another one. I didn't look into the top tier on that, but again, I heard they were going that route, like you know, just a set fee for as many listings as you want. I don't know if I would do that or not, depending wise. I'd have to think about that one. Same here, man. We're moving away from, yeah, clothing in general. I would stay away from. I'm going to have to cut it off here in just a few minutes. Macaroni May, I'm not sure was what both of my stores combined. It's 40,000 listings between the 2 stores. Oh, welcome, Craigslist Hunter. Have not seen you on here before. I do watch yours. I will give you a call out because I have some Polish blood in this too, so we do have some things in common. You're actually not too far away from me either. I've watched Resell Rabbit as well too. Let's see here. Diego, hey Pete. Yep, he's fairly well watched. He's probably going to be one of the first ones to hit 100K on the subscribers from what I see. Let's see here. Mother's Mustache, welcome. We're going to be cutting this off here too, because we are almost to the 8:30 mark. I'm well past what I said. So again, just keep an eye out. Tomorrow morning, my critique will be posted. If not tomorrow morning, by the afternoon at the very latest. It's already, been saved and it's already ready. All that's to be done is click a couple buttons. But look for the critique in the morning. Again, it's a surprise. I'm not picking anybody specific and announcing it ahead of time anymore. When I do a critique, it'll literally be the day of the critique. You'll figure out who it is. So everybody kind of has a ballpark. It may be you, it may not. So again, that'll be up in the morning. Again, we've been on for close to an hour and a half, and I know that's probably about the limit. Most people like to watch these. So again, I thank everybody for coming on. I'm going to say good evening for you, and I will have fresh videos again up tomorrow. Thanks for everybody. If you haven't hit the like button, please smash the like button for us today. Let everybody know that it was a good video today. I'm glad to have you, and that is it for tonight. Have a good evening.